These are viral conspiracy theories that I'm too scared to believe. All right, we gotta talk about Erika Kirk, which I swear anytime I hear anything about her or learn anything new, it just makes her more confusing and it all makes less sense than it did before. So that was the case after watching Candace Owens' 4-part now. She just uploaded a 4th part today. I just watched it real quick before we filmed to make sure, but she uploaded a 4-part series so far. She'll probably do more. Bride of Charlie Kirk, which is so funny because people compare Erika Kirk to Chucky's bride. She really goes into depth about Erika and her family throughout most of it. Like a lot of it is about Erika's family's past, though I guess they are connected obviously. And it seems like there are like dozens of different random little discrepancies in Erika Kirk's life and the whole Franz family, which is like her maiden name, and also on her mother's side as well. It's very, very confusing. The more I was hearing Candace explain things, the less it made sense. I don't know how else to explain it, but there were so many random discrepancies. For example, it's documented that Erika was born on November 20th, but then also in documents it was November 22nd. Like court documents were also weird. Like some numbers were literally crossed out and rewritten. A lot of things were signed without a notary present. Like, there are so many different aspects of her family that just are kind of sketchy. Candace really goes deep into the conspiracy of it. I guess now like the 4th episode was more focused on her maternal side of the family. So Lori France, which is Erika's mother, I feel like this kind of switches up, but she's Syrian, Italian, and Lebanese on her mother's side, and she's Swedish on her father's side. Candace was trying to draw conclusions between Erika's family and like the mafia, but also like, to be fair, they all kind of on both sides of her family had some connections with gambling and casinos in general. It was kind of weird, but then the mafia was brought up because she is apparently directly related, Charlie's words exactly, to Vince Lombardi, who was a football coach for the Packers back in the day. And I feel like everything about Erika just keeps unfolding. Like she's connected to so many different moving parts that she's pretty hard to track down, honestly. I feel like this Bride of Charlie Kirk series is gonna be like 20 episodes long. I just feel like every time Candace digs into this girl's past and like talks to ex-boyfriends, old friends, all that shit, it just gets weirder. One of the strange things that I found, and I'm like excited to see if we ever have a resolution as to why this is, but Erika Kirk, like I said, she's half Swedish and half Syrian / Lebanese / Italian now we're hearing on her mother's side, but on her father's side, she is Swedish. And what's strange is that Erika continuously refers to her grandfather on her father's side as morfar, which directly translates from Swedish to mother's father. Apparently a bunch of Swedish people were typing in Candace Owens' comments saying like an old Swedish man would literally never let this happen. Like he would be called farfar, like, because that is supposed to be Erika Franze's father's father. So that would be her farfar. Her morfar would mean it would be her mother's father. And I don't know why this discrepancy exists. It is weird. And there really has not been like a explanation for it. I think that's again something that's just gonna be needing to do more digging. Honestly, I feel like this just made me realize like how people always are like, everybody has family secrets. I think they kind of do. And I'm just like, is my family low-key boring? I don't know. I think the series is interesting if you find Erika Kirk to be a disturbing human being to look at, see, hear, talk. Like I just feel like she has a very weird aura about her, and I do think that these little discrepancies that Candace points out are very interesting because again, I just feel like it makes Erika's life even more questionable, and I just feel like after learning more about her, I'm more unclear of who Erika Kirk is than I was before. So make that make sense. I don't know. But I want to read something that was my biggest takeaway from the Candace Owens series overall, because I do think and believe the conspiracy theory that Erika Kirk is a sociopath. So this was an excerpt written by Elizabeth Lane, who is an investigative journalist, and she actually uses psychopath, but I personally will tell you why I think sociopath is more fitting here. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I'm just saying. So this is a long tweet that I'm going to read that she wrote because I just think it's a very interesting perspective and we gotta talk about it. Elizabeth writes, I'm going to be blunt. I've reached the point where I find Erika Kirk deeply disturbing, not because of rumors or gossip, but because of consistent, observable patterns of behavior. To be clear, everything I say in this post is my opinion. I'm not claiming this is a fact. I'm saying this is what I think Erika Kirk is. I come from a world of acting and modeling. I've spent years around social climbers, opportunists, image curators, and people who treat relationships as ladders, and that is why I left that world. Most of these people are shallow and harmless. A few are dangerous. Erika falls in the latter category, not because she is just ambitious, but because of how calculated and performative her ambition appears to be. I believe that she may be a psychopath. What stands out immediately is the reaction she provokes in people, which is very common with psychopaths. Across the board, including from people who support her publicly, the private reaction is the same: I can't watch her. Not criticism, just physical discomfort. People turn off interviews because the presentation feels artificial to the point of it being unbearable. Let me explain. That kind of response does not happen accidentally. It does not happen often. Research in psychology shows that humans are highly sensitive to emotional incongruence, mismatches between facial expression, tone, and content. When affect appears simulated rather than genuine, the brain registers it as a threat signal. This activates discomfort and avoidance, even if the person cannot consciously explain why. So many of us have felt this way, but we could not explain why we would not watch her. Studies on psychopathy, particularly those building on the work of psychologists like Robert Hare, describe traits such as rehearsed emotional and shallow affect. These traits can create what observers experience as an uncanny interpersonal dynamic. This discomfort arises and people want to shut it off because most people rarely encounter extreme affective mimicry in everyday life. So the brain struggles to categorize what it's detecting. Erika is attractive enough and she had every tool in her position to sell this organically, except for one thing: emotion. The entire story of what happened could have helped her sell this fully. She really would have been the last person on earth to be a suspect, if not for the FBI's terrible mistakes, Turning Point USA's lies, and her very fake performance. Plenty of attractive, ambitious women move through media spaces without triggering that response, even though we know what they are. This is about something else: an extreme disconnect between presentation she puts out and perceived authenticity. Erika is not the archetype of a model slash actress seeking money and fame, and then settling into a quiet life with a wealthy, good-looking husband. She's the wolf type, who wants to be in the place of that husband. She is not born for a supporting role. She is a decision maker type. She appears to pursue proximity to power, moving fluidly between television, nonprofits, branding opportunities, and ideological spaces that maximize exposure. Her previous partners are guys women like her would date. Muscular, jacked, good looking, and even though they are not people with huge potential, they are all somewhat established. They are good stepping stones until the right person shows up. Now, looking at her previous partners, I'd say Charlie probably was not her type visually, but he was exactly what she was looking for in a man: potential to be a great power. What Erika was looking for is the same thing Hillary Clinton was looking for when she met Bill. She recognized that Bill Clinton was her ticket to power, the power she could control, and she was right. She realized that she could create a great brand out of him and herself, and they still are a brand, the Clintons. No one in this world can say they love each other, but they are a brand that works. This is why she's sticking around despite Epstein and Lewinsky. Also, if you think Bill is the decision maker there, you must have never been in close proximity to the Clintons. She moves the game. She is the decision maker. Erika saw a brand with Charlie. She also saw that Charlie could one day become the president of the United States if he wanted to. Charlie had the ear of the most powerful segment of any society: students. He was going to be a very important player in politics, and she was not missing that ride. What's striking is how completely her public identity reshapes itself after that relationship begins. The aesthetic, the tone, the values, the presentation all change. Overnight, the persona shifts into the role that best fits Charlie's world: a devoted Christian, modest, supportive housewife. That kind of rapid adaptation is quite impressive for a usual person, but not for a psychopath. They do it all the time. In my head, story goes like this. For a moment, it works. She becomes the wife of a rising political figure with access to donors, institutions, and national platforms. At that point, the ceiling isn't social media influence. It's empire building, foundation, global reach, or legacy, the Kirks. It's obvious that Charlie listens to her. Whether it's about donors or the trajectory of TPUSA, the most influential figure in any mentally healthy man's life is his wife. She is going to be the biggest influence. That's just how it is. That is why you need to pick your partner wisely. Everything was going well until Charlie makes decisions based on conscience rather than expansion and money. He turns down money. He refuses to play dirty politics. I'm assuming someone like Erika, who married into this because she had a vision for this brand, would not be very happy that the life she appears to have signed up for, power couple, expanding influence, historical relevance, was collapsing into something else entirely. Domesticity, housewife, kids, and now Charlie's refusing to accept the money that can make him a global power, which they're referring to the money that Bibi Netanyahu allegedly offered Turning Point USA shortly before Charlie's death, which he allegedly declined. Her husband died a few days ago, and she walks onto the stage as if she were born there. It comes naturally to her. She knows it, and she wants it. Just days after her husband's death, she was already laying out ambitious plans for the company over Zoom. It's obvious that she was always deeply involved in the business and knew exactly where to pick up when her turn came. What people struggle to watch, what makes her unbearable, is not grief. It is the absence of emotional continuity. Performances can be learned. Trust me, as a former actress, I can speak to that, but the emotion can't be improvised or mimicked if you've never experienced it. That's why I think we are dealing with a psychopath who has never really experienced these emotions and does not know how to play them. And audiences feel it instantly. It's fake. Again, just my opinion. This isn't an accusation of crime. Whatever. So I agree to an extent with a lot of this. Like, I do think that Erika Kirk had a very clear vision of her life and what she wanted to do with it. And I do think that the way that she has reacted in life is a little sociopathic vibe. Sorry. I mean, I don't know. It's just a conspiracy theory. But I just feel like the way that she was so excited about $200,000 of hat sales at Charlie's memorial, your husband who was publicly assassinated, his memorial service, which was more like a show, a performance really, being excited about $200,000 in hat sales is fucking weird. That is weird. And I feel like it does display some behaviors of people who I have met that have like a sociopath more vibe or narcissistic. And I think narcissist actually fits here even better because there's a section of Candace's series where she's talking about Erika's time in pageants. And Erika herself in a 2020 interview literally says, it's not like I'm a narcissist. Like, you just have to hear it because it's so weird.
Was it after that? That's when you started pageants? Or when did that come about?
Right. So the pageant world to me is something that it was an interesting season of life. It was nothing that I was ever groomed for. It was nothing that was ever on my radar. I wanted to play professional basketball.
Tomboy.
That was my thing. I remember getting something in the mail when I had come home from school one summer, and it was like, hey, you should compete at Miss Arizona USA. Someone nominated you. And I was like, I don't know who would nominate me for that, but okay. So the pageant world for me was something that was not a form of narcissism. It was more along the terms of being a steward for my state, especially as it hit our 100th year celebration.
No one was saying narcissism. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't really think pageants. I mean, I guess I can understand how people would see that as like a narcissistic thing, but I honestly feel like it's low-key kind of not. I don't know. Pageants are very problematic in their own ways, but like I wouldn't just automatically assume somebody who does beauty pageants to be a narcissist. So I feel like it's weird that she's like, I'm not a narc, and like also her being like, I wasn't groomed for this is kind of weird too. I just feel like the verbiage is strange. I really want to hear what you guys think about this though, because I do think it is interesting that the left and the right come together on one thing, and it's that we don't fucking vibe with Erika Kirk and something is off about her. Like, even the people who were fans of Charlie Kirk feel like that. I mean, I'm not saying every single person, but it just feels like at this point, at least like for me, I don't know anyone personally who's not like, what the fuck is Erika Kirk? Sorry, I just don't. Though maybe that just says more about who I associate with. But either way, I think Erika is definitely suspicious. I, again, am excited that Candace Owens is doing a deep dive on her because I do find it to be very, very interesting. And there is something up here. I personally just think she's a narc and she knew what she wanted from the beginning and was using Charlie, and maybe that's why she didn't care that Israel, the Trump administration or whatever, allegedly the FBI, whatever, wanted to kill him. She didn't care. Maybe that's also why she was able to forgive Tyler Robinson, because she did say that. She did. I just still think that's weird. And also Candace was talking about how she kind of comes across I wouldn't, like, I kind of think this about, there's a lot of Christians I think this about, but there are a lot of just like people who have a fake Christian vibe where it's like they're trying to get approval and praise by just being like, and thank the Lord. Like, it just adding the Lord into like anything that they say, and then it like just automatically makes people like listen to them and agree with them, at least religious Christians. But I just think that that is so see-through to me. But I don't know, the religion's a whole different topic, but I do find it interesting and I want to hear your guys' thoughts, because I just think she's a sociopath or a narc. She's definitely cluster B. That's what I know. All right, an update on Selena Gomez. We've all heard the conspiracy theory by now that Selena Gomez is secretly a clone or was replaced with one. Girl, it's a crazy theory overall, but there is this video that's going viral right now from a couple of years ago of Selena twisting her ankle, and everyone thinks that the way it looks is just so unnatural that therefore she has to be a clone. I don't really understand people's logic on that one, because like, why would a clone just be able to bend like that? Like, I don't know, like, what is a clone? Like, is the clone not supposed to just be Selena? And also, why do the clones look kind of different from Selena? What's up with that? Like, I don't know. I just feel like that's just like not how cloning works. I feel like the reptilian shapeshifter theory makes more sense here. So if you're a reptilian girl, like, clock in. I don't know. It is weird though. I have never seen an ankle do that. Speaking of clones, we were talking about Jim Carrey again because we might have an explanation for what was happening, except for I don't really believe this. But either way, there is this professional makeup artist named Alexis Stone, and he's known for doing these celebrity transformations, and they're insane. Like, they are very, very, very good. He's very talented and uses prosthetics and everything to make himself look like the celebrity. And he's done it several times where it's been like completely believable. Like, me seeing him as Lana Del Rey and freaking Donatella Versace, I'm like, that's just them. Like, how is that not them? So Alexis Stone posted on Instagram claiming that he was dressed as / impersonating Jim Carrey in France, and that's why he looked so not like himself. I don't know. I kind of think this is just like Alexis Stone saw this as an opportunity and like made it as kind of a joke, because everyone was saying, oh, it doesn't look like Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey looks different. I don't feel like it's weird, because I don't know if I normally like fully believe conspiracy theories like this, but that is not Jim Carrey. Like, I do not care what anyone says. Why are his eyes that color? Everyone keeps yapping about how, oh, he's got a bad facelift, he got plastic surgery, like whatever. How the hell did he look like so normal a year ago, and now he comes up with a different eye color as well? Like, that part is just throwing me off. And also, while he was in France with this new freaking face, he was signing autographs with his right hand, but Jim Carrey is a lefty. So explain that. I don't know. Do you think that Alexis Stone is serious? I feel like it was probably a joke, just because the pictures that they posted look like very AI, like the mask and stuff. I don't know, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts, because you guys keep tagging me in that all the time, so let us know. All right, the next theory has to do with aliens and UFOs and all of outer space. Once again, we talked about how Obama confirmed that there are aliens and that aliens are real, but the president of the United States doesn't know anything, and or the government is lying to him. But now, because of how Trump is, like the way that he is as a person, he essentially sometimes tells on himself a little bit, or like exposes a little too much, just because he was trying to belittle someone else or like put down someone else or whatever. And he literally did this with Obama, because he is trying to be like, Obama shouldn't have said that. That's classified information. Girl, so you're saying that aliens are real, is what you're saying.
Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. You know?
So aliens are real?
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. He made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it. Do you believe it, Peter?
Well, the president can declassify anything that he wants to,
Well,
so if you want to make an announcement.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
I feel like Trump just obviously, like, first of all, being like, I'll get him out of trouble for declassifying. He loves to be a savior. I don't know what the fuck he thinks, whatever. That's just so crazy. But what kills me is that he literally is being like, Obama broke the rules, and he's trying to tattletale on him, but while he's doing that, he's kind of divulging the information that there was something to tattle about in the first place. Like, he's being like, those are declassified, like, that's declassified information. You're not supposed to be confirming that aliens are real. But then he is kind of confirming that that's true. And also, I think that that's just like the information that Trump is aware of. I feel like there is a hierarchy in elite circles, the bloodlines, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call it. I think that it goes way deeper than who the current president is. Like, I don't think that the current president has that much pull. Like, maybe they get to learn a few things here and there. So I'm like, girl, that's just the information that Trump was given. Like, I don't know if he has. I don't know if they like would trust him with all the information, because he basically just confirmed as well that Obama was declassifying information. So I kind of thought that was funny, but also, yeah, I do think that the government absolutely knows more about aliens being real, and 100,000%, like without shadow of a doubt, there is more classified information that is yet to come. And I don't know if the presidents ever know about it, or if it is, again, just like this darker, deeper, you know, hierarchy here. I do think that it is interesting nonetheless. All right, speaking of Trump, tell me how Jeffrey Epstein in 2018 predicted that Donald Trump would go to war with Iran. I don't like that. So these are text messages between Jeffrey Epstein and somebody who is redacted. He clearly says that he believes that Trump is going to go to war because he's backed into a corner. And this was in December of 2018. So Jeffrey wrote, Trump pulling troops out of Syria is a bad sign. He is up to something and it's not good. BTW, I believe that his pulling troops out of Syria is step one. He needs a large diversion, which is interesting because a lot of people think that Trump attacking Iran has to do with him kind of covering up the fact that everyone's talking about the Epstein files and him in regards to it. And like, also this happened day after the Clintons gave their depositions. So I do think that's weird. Weird timing. So the redacted person said, everybody here surprised and happy. Nobody quite understands why he did it, including myself. Completely opposite to what I was told in the White House. What is he up to? Spoke with new Syria UN envoy, Geir Peterson, who used to work for me. Russians, very good and kind. So whoever he's talking to clearly has like inside access to the White House. So it seems like Trump went off of the course that he was supposed to be on at this time, and even surprised the people who are like within his inner circle of the White House. But either way, Jeffrey Epstein wrote, you guys need to understand that he is psychotic and would not blink twice at encouraging an attack on us so he can leap to the country's defense mindset. If I go down, I'm taking everyone with me. Cornering a rat is never a good idea. And I'm just like, girl, imagine Jeffrey Epstein calling you a rat. Like, he's literally like the grossest person ever. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know. And you could just be like, he just hated Trump because they had this fight about blah, blah, blah. Girl, fuck off. I just feel like at this point, clearly they like knew each other, were frenemies kind of vibe. I think that they probably had that vibe for a long time. Like, I think at one point maybe they were good besties, but I think that they were always doing the same crimes together. But either way, Jeffrey continues by saying, could be he doesn't want them there. If it is a much bigger operation, might put them in jeopardy. Reminder, he will take everyone down with him if he feels the end is near. I always urge people not to corner a rat. They become extremely dangerous and unpredictable. Take your family out of the house before you blow it up. China, Pakistan, Russia, Turkey, Iran. He also may have just decided to trade the Kurds to Turkey for them standing down on Saudi. The game is now on. And then the redacted person said, my God, is he that cornered? Jeffrey Epstein said worse, because it is not only him, it is his family, business, etc. I believe that Mueller is making a mistake and treating him like he is organized crime. No organized crime leader has a 1 million man army. They are going drip by drip, but rats go crazy before the cage closes. Too much time. The Republicans are beginning to understand. I wouldn't be surprised to see him do things that might encourage a real problem so he can rush to the country's defense. And I do think parts of that is true. I think for one, Trump maybe attacked Iran as a diversion from these Epstein files that everyone was talking about. We'll talk about how that actually links to Charlie Kirk's assassination as well in a second. But Trump's complete MO, like his whole thing is causing problems and then solving them and acting like he's the hero. He has been doing that for decades at this point. He literally did that on a small scale with TikTok. He was the reason why TikTok was being banned in the first place. And then he came in and he was like, and I saved TikTok. Girl, like, I don't know. It's just classic narcissist behavior, and he does it well because clearly he plays a lot of people. But either way, I saw this TikTok breaking down search trends in regards to the Epstein files and the timing of it with the attack on Iran and also Charlie Kirk's assassination, and how maybe both the Trump administration and Israel could be involved with both.
What do Trump bombing Iran and Charlie Kirk's death have in common? Amazing question, let me tell you. And before y'all get mad at me, these are just the facts, so take it up with God. So these stats are pulled from a newsletter I follow called What's Resonating. I'm not affiliated with them. This is not sponsored. It's just a good resource to understand the media landscape across the political spectrum. So right before we bombed Iran, the top topic on left-leaning media was the Epstein files. Not only that, it had permeated neutral pages as well as right-leaning pages. We are not talking small numbers here, okay? Epstein-related content made up nearly 1/5 of all left-leaning engagement across social media. And compared to right-leaning media, it was performing 25% better. And speaking of right-leaning media, what do you think the top YouTube video was ahead of us bombing Iran? Candace Owens' video, where she outlined her own concerns and thoughts about the mysterious circumstances surrounding Charlie Kirk's death. Well, what does that have to do with Charlie Kirk? Let's look at what was trending right before Charlie Kirk died. The Epstein files. This was right after Trump's letter to Epstein, where they talk about their little secret adventures together, in addition to Israel and Palestine and the continued occupation of ICE in American cities. And what is not noted here, and is very important to know, is the first Epstein file drop was earlier in the summer. And this period was the first time in all of 2025 where left-leaning media was dominating the media landscape. And it was the first time that it was permeating across to the right, because it was all about the Epstein files. Charlie Kirk gets killed, that streak immediately ends. Oh, and of course, who could forget to mention we bombed Venezuela shortly after the second drop of the Epstein files. Now, if you want to look at me with a straight face and tell me that you don't see how these things are all connected, then I would just ask you how the weather is up your ass, since your head is so far stuck up there. Have a great Sunday.
So yeah, I mean, I do think that trends do speak for themselves at a point, and I also think it's interesting because it works for both the Trump administration and Bibi Netanyahu. Both things, like, they are working together, but it really feels like it, especially with Charlie Kirk's assassination. I mean, we've divulged into all of those conspiracy theories regarding Israel and regarding how he was starting to say, and regarding how Charlie Kirk was starting to change his stance on Israel, and then allegedly rejected billions of dollars from Netanyahu and refused to have him on his podcast, and then he ends up dead. Now, not only that, but Charlie Kirk was also like very pro releasing the Epstein files completely unredacted. And I think, again, getting young conservatives to care about that is significant, because then that just puts Trump in a bad place. But I do think this theory is probably true to an extent. At this point, I don't know if we'll ever get any real information, because I feel like now everyone is talking about Iran, but it is taking away from the fact, but I feel like, yeah, it does take away from the fact that the Clintons just gave their depositions, and that should set up Donald Trump to have to also give a deposition. But clearly, we're probably just gonna forget about it because Trump's crazy. So, I don't know. I wanna hear your guys' thoughts overall, because, girl, I can't. So this goes without saying, but I think that Epstein Island was actually probably a lot darker than what we can imagine. And I think that this video about a doctor being involved here is really fucking sketchy. So let's listen.
Disturbing new Epstein photo showing a top doctor giving stitches to a woman's head on Epstein's dining room table. Who is this top doctor breaking ethical professional rules? Well, remember Epstein's ex-girlfriend who married a billionaire? She was Miss Sweden and now a doctor. The billionaire couple had a bunch of disturbing photos of their children when they were really little around Epstein. Epstein was made godfather to the billionaire's kids, and this photo is the most disturbing to me, as well as bringing their daughter around with her friends when she was 15 and saying that her young teenage teenage friends were going to be there. And remember Virginia Giuffre? Well, she said that Eva's billionaire husband was the first person that she was told to have sex with by Ghislaine. Billionaire couple remained friends with Epstein even after his convictions. Epstein was convicted in 2008. They hosted him for Thanksgiving in 2009 at their Palm Beach home. The billionaire's kids refer to him as Uncle Jeff. In 2009, Eva Anderson Dupin wrote an email to Epstein's probation officer saying that she was 100% comfortable with Epstein being around their minor children, despite the fact that he was a sex offender of children. Eva was also listed as a passenger on at least 36 flights, occasionally accompanied by her husband, Glenn Dubin, their children, and a nanny. Their daughter, Selena Dubin, testified for Ghislaine as a character witness. She's also listed on one of Epstein's trusts. Epstein's even said he wanted to marry their daughter, Selena Dubin. Their relationship with Epstein, as well as their kids' relationship with Epstein, is very sick and twisted, in my opinion, allegedly, in all of our opinions. But let's get back to how she's involved in this horrific photo. Allegedly. So Dr. Eva Dubin, former Miss Sweden, married to the billionaire and has continued their friendship with Epstein and brought their kids around. She has a particularly shocking email exchange where Epstein told her that he was flying to New York with a Russian female student whose name has been redacted. After this Russian girl had fallen off an ATV on his island. So the email is from October 6, 2012. Epstein says, "I'm flying to New York, will land at 6:30. Redacted person fell off the ATV and needs stitches in her forehead and an x-ray to ensure no concussion. Can you organize?" Dubin responded that top plastic surgeon Jess Tink was, quote, standing by and told Epstein to call her when they landed so she could go with them. The next day, Epstein sent another email to his assistant instructing her to purchase large first aid kits and asking for a defibrillator. The email says, quote, "Redacted person had a bad accident on the island. Dr. Ting putting 35 stitches in her head laid out on dining room table." So this photo shows a woman lying down, apparently undergoing a medical procedure. Her face was blocked with a towel, and the faces of the 3 other individuals in the picture were redacted. So who's the guy in the checkered shirt? It turns out there's a lot of other emails between Dr. Ting and Epstein. One of the emails revealed correspondence about Ting's family taking a trip to Epstein Island. Another email months later revealed that Epstein agreed to donate $50,000 to breast cancer research. Ting, of course, denies any wrongdoing and said he was not in the photo of the alleged home procedure. He added that he never witnessed any criminal activities from Epstein.
It does look like him in the picture. But either way, I just feel like this is such an important thing to talk about because money buys power, and I don't think enough people really understand how insane it is. The fact that they are able to gather all of these people that are doctors, politicians, like literally during the time that Jeffrey Epstein was hanging out with Bill Clinton, he was the president of the United States. Like, that's obviously concerning. So the fact that Jeffrey Epstein was able to use his resources to pull together all of these high up people, doctors, politicians, etc., lawyers, I'm sure, who were happily able to go against their oath that you take as a doctor to participate in this kind of nefarious shit is very, very concerning to me. And I think that it is all part of a bigger picture that needs to be talked about. Honestly, it is very disturbing. And also, why the hell is pageants connected to everything? I feel like beauty pageants have been connected to so many of the Epstein conspiracy theories, as well as Donald Trump obviously previously owning them, and then Erika Kirk. And not only that, but it also goes back to JonBenet Ramsey. Obviously, we've talked about the picture of JonBenet Ramsey where it looks like Ghislaine Maxwell is in the background. Something even weirder came out of the Epstein files. So there is this photo of this redacted little blonde girl sitting on Epstein's shoulders, and many people think that's JonBenet Ramsey. We've talked about that before. But what's even creepier is that next to that picture, like in the files, there is a photo on the wall. Like, he has this photo on his fucking wall, which is weird as hell and in general, of a picture of a child who looks exactly like JonBenet Ramsey. Like, she's passed out or sleeping in the picture, but I feel like it looks so much like photos we've seen of JonBenet, and I think that it just is her. I'm not gonna lie, I think it is kind of a crazy conspiracy theory because it's like, how the hell are these people all connected? But I do feel like once you realize how fucked up like the system really is and everyone involved, it really does go that deep, and it really does. Cases like JonBenet Ramsey really could be tied in to Epstein or to the government, whatever you want to talk about. But I also thought it was interesting. So this TikTok user at Lesbian Mom Shows You How, she posted pictures of JonBenet Ramsey allegedly in the Epstein files, and somebody commented on one of her posts saying, quote, "My daughter was in several pageants with JonBenet, and they were pageant pals." I don't know about this exact pic, which she's referring to the one of maybe Ghislaine Maxwell in the background of a picture where JonBenet Ramsey is in. But we saw Maxwell on the circuit often, and she would hang out with the moms and girls. So I don't like that. Like, I don't like that. Obviously, we don't know if that's true at all, but nonetheless, it is very, very interesting, and it just adds another layer of this weird connection between Epstein and the Ramsey family. And again, I just don't like it. I do think that there is something suspicious there. Obviously, we don't know for sure, but I will say, like, those pictures in Jeffrey Epstein's house that are framed look like JonBenet Ramsey. Obviously, the victim is redacted, so we don't know, but let me know your thoughts. Anyway, that is it for today's video. If you guys liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of these conspiracy theories, and which ones do you believe the most, and which ones are you scared to believe? Let me know. But anyway, that is it. Make sure you follow me on TikTok and Instagram and subscribe for new videos every week, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.